Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2 of this series of Let's Talk and Draw. And how's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing well. I know I didn't ask that in the beginning, the last episode. I kind of waited to the end of it. It was making no absolute sense. But yeah, I remember to ask it to you guys this time. So leave it in a comment. You know, guys have a good day. You know, maybe having some fun with your family, eating somewhere. I don't know. Yeah. This piece I'm drawing today that you can see is continuous of the story from the last time, where if you remember, the last episode was about we are exploring the life or the character of the main character, Phoenix. And now we're gonna see some of the action that's actually taking place in the story. One thing I want to say though, or the one thing I want to say in this specific picture is that, or illustration is that, I want to show the job or the actual job of the main character herself. You know, Phoenix is a postman, or a postman, I don't know why I paused there. A postman helping his uncle, trying to, you know, make a living, help him out, just being a responsible nephew. And I want to show, you know, the audience of the character of this, or the personality of this character. You see him in a little bit, but right now I am just trying to focus drawing on, or at least sketching out the cityscape itself, which by the way, I am referenced this from an actual image from a city called Ljubljana in Slovenia. I'm not sure how to say it, but I'll put the name right there in the bottom. You guys can see, and if you guys know that I said it wrong, please comment in the comment section. Just tell me that, yeah, you said I'm wrong. You shouldn't say I'm wrong. You offended my language. Kind of stuff like that. But yeah, I just kind of search up a bunch of image on, you know, the internet and just see what kind of vibe I'm trying to look for. In the research phase, I was thinking of along the line of like, yeah, I want to do something along the line of one point of perspective where we show the city itself, or at least part of the city that this character is living in. So I decided to do something along the line of like, I want to show the audience there is an historical things that happening throughout the story. As you can see here, we can say that by referencing the church and some of the older style building that we see in the actual illustration itself. You can see there the two church in the back, or just the one church in the background with the bell tower and stuff like that. Just to emphasize that this character is living in a capital city where he is very near to the establishment of the royalty and stuff like that. But at the same time, we also want to show the difference between the lower class to the nobleman, right? So by doing that, I think a marketplace is a perfect like example of like showing that. And just in the background, we can see the church, so just see the two almost contrasting each other. So yeah, I laying out a bunch of blue character just to make myself easy to recognize or easy to draw later, or to map out a bunch of character. So it's easy. It's easy for me to work. I guess right here I'm trying to move on to the second phase of the actual illustration itself. At this point, I feel like I am comfortable enough for me to have enough foundation for me to move on to the next phase, which is inking of the illustration itself. At first it looked kind of dull and boring, but eventually when I have enough detail, everything's kind of add up together and just work well together. One thing I do say is that perspective is like everything in this illustration that I'm doing, right? Everything just fall into a one-point perspective where everything just meet at that one specific point in the middle of the painting itself. And yeah, just trying to align this object, making sure that the perspective is right, making sure that the eye view is level, that I'm showing the audience what I want to show them. Oh, also some of the detail that I am doing, you know, I'm hoping to showing that yes, yeah, we are in this era of like the Victorian era where everything is a little bit more detailed. So by doing that, I am drawing some of the more how to say this pattern. There's some pattern that I would try and show. For example, on that frame right next to the door on the bottom right, I put a bunch of like texture or like patterns to make sure that yes, that we are in this era. I don't want to put too much detail into it, but at the same time, or just showing some small detail like that, just emphasize that yeah, we are in this era and everything just look a little bit more, you know, detailed and pristine. Again, it just, the whole painting itself is just gonna contrast itself just to show that there is a difference between the lower class and the nobleman. Right here, I'm just trying to, again, lay out some of the basic shape of the window, making sure the perspective is right. So later on, when I'm actually doing the painting itself, it's actually gonna look decent. And it took me actually quite a while to get some of the actual window laying out because, you know, I want to get the foundation right. So later on, I don't just struggle much when I'm doing the painting, because then I have, you know, a good foundation for me to base on. Because if I do make a mistake later, I can just easily erase and start a new one because I know that the foundation is good enough for me to base on. As easy as that. Some of the windows, I put some kind of ledge or like a balcony looking thing to it, to making sure that the building itself is not a flat building, that it have a little depth to them, that it have more of detail, to making sure that it is, you know, this is actually from Europe itself. And yeah, as you can see there, a little bit underhang from the actual roof itself, and just putting some pots of plants or like stuff on the balcony, so making it look like there is people actually living and taking care of these kind of things. Yeah, and eventually, when you draw from that perspective, as you know, things get smaller and smaller when you go farther into the perspective, and you also want to make sure that these little details make sense and don't have too much detail, but at the same time, you want to have enough detail where people can recognize right away what you're looking at. Yeah, it looks super good already. I would say half the inking itself, and I think right here I'm gonna start on the second, the other half of the actual inking face itself. And yeah, just referencing the actual first of the image, or the second, the first half of the image. And yeah, as you can put a little bit more variety to some of the window and the door. Just to mix up a little bit. You don't want everything to look very repetitive. You want everything to look a little more different. You want to make things look consistent, but at the same time not repetitive from what you do. There you go. That's what I'm trying to say. Here, just putting a little bit of pipe to it to make sure that these plates look a little bit run down, that there's people running pipe to it. So, you know, have water supply, and stuff like that. Let's talk more about the actual story itself of what's going to happen. So in this specific illustration itself, I want to show that Phoenix is doing his job horribly, just like always, right? We know that Phoenix is a very demotivated person where he is, or he at least don't like the job that he's doing, and he's just doing his job just because he wants to help out his uncle. But he's still trying to find his own path, right? He's trying to find his own way of making himself have his hobby. I'll say Phoenix is a very adventurous person, therefore working as a postman is very boring to him, where he only sees like things that he kind of don't want to see, like people. He don't want to interact with people most of the time. He kind of just want to go out there, outside the world, and explore, right? So that's what I'm trying to like emphasize to the audience of how I'm trying to do this in the future. But right now, we are just continuing to make him look like he is doing a really half-assed job at his work. And actually, I don't want to have any much spoiler, but we want to also have a second main character. It's going to be awesome. Well, it's going to be a girl, first of all, and how this girl is going to change Phoenix. I'm not going to spoil much of what's going to happen later, but we want to show that this new character that I'm going to introduce soon in the video, hopefully an episode or two from now, talk about this girl, is that she is going to be basically the opposite of Phoenix, where she's a bit more preservative, but at the same time, she also has similarity between him, where she also wants to explore the world. I'm not going to go into too much detail of what's going to, or what is her life story, or what is behind her life story, but I do say that I will review it soon, whenever I have an illustration of her, which is probably an episode or two from now, like I said earlier. Back to painting. I want to show like you can see some of the pumpkins and some of the vegetables that I have in the front to emphasize that this is the marketplace that Phoenix is running through. Therefore, it's very busy. Therefore, he has to like navigate people to get around this terrain and get to point A to point B, but at the same time, there's people around him, so that they can stop him from traveling and stuff like that. I'm not sure if I mentioned earlier, but I want to show there is a historian or historical landmark around here. Like you can see here, the church is the actual landmark itself from the town. So I want to show that there is a difference between noblemen and the actual workers itself. Everything seems very busy. Everything just seems like this is a place not just for religions, but actually for trading, and a lot of culture is happening around here. And I also want to establish one more thing about this world, is that we are gonna go a little going a little more fantasy wise, where there is magic in the world, where there's people. You can see here in the two characters right next to Phoenix on the right, you can see they almost look like some kind of like sorcery or adventure. You can see in the design. because I do want to have these kind of things that exist in the world. Is you know, people with magic, people actually fight for their living, and there are adventure, there's fighting monster, or stuff like that. But at the same time, there's a city, and there are people actually work in the city, and people actually going out for doing merchant and adventuring stuff, you know, to sell some of the goodies that they find in the wild. And I'm probably gonna emphasize more into that later in more episode. But for now, I want to show in this specific scene that is, you know, people traveling, but at the same time there's also people that work in the city. Like these merchants right here. I think it came out alright. What I did differently from this specific illustration is that I separate the layer from the actual character itself and the actual city itself. Like for this example right here, you can see that the character is not within it because I want later. I guess it's easier for me to make it have like some kind of a layer to it, right? I guess it's easier for me to work with. So later I don't have to worry about just erasing the actual inking of the city itself. That would be a hassle to just fix later, so I just decided to like have the character and the city on separate layers, so it's easier for me to design and edit. Right here I'm starting to jump into the painting process of the illustration itself. Right now I'm just laying out some of the base color that these buildings is going to have and stuff like that. Some of the shading here I did was kind of wrong, or wrong as in I don't want the lighting to be in a specific way. What I mean to say is like some of the alleyway you see, like with the darker shade, I actually want the lighting to actually come from the alleyway because it's gonna bring out the light, or how do I say this? I think I mentioned in the last videos where I mentioned people tend to seek the light when there is darkness to it, so it just make you look for the light and just make the actual illustration itself looks really good. Again, right now I'm just laying out some of the foundations of the painting itself, making sure that I keep erasing if I need to, and just making sure that some of the colors, some of the interactions of the lighting from later is going to be correct. So yeah, again, don't be afraid if you guys do draw. I'm sure you guys are. Don't be afraid to, undo, or in this case just erase, right? Because you can just start again and again. It's just a process of trial and error. Just continue doing that until you got something awesome. Yeah, just something. As you can see now, it doesn't look as good because we are just still continue laying out some of the foundation, so making sure that the lighting are correct. So later, when we do paint some of the actual detail of the painting itself, then everything will pop out, and we don't have to fix much about it. We just continue to add more later on. And yeah. It took me quite a while actually to paint this piece. Not because it's a hard piece to do, but specifically I wanted, or at least in the beginning, I wanted to challenge myself to do this without the actual inking itself, without the contour line. So I ended up just doing a bunch of I just jumped right into the painting itself without having some construct or an actual good foundation. I show you guys what it looked like. If you can see here, I don't particularly like it, but I just have to work with it. And in the end, I just didn't like it very much, and I just decided to redo the whole painting. It sounds kind of crazy, but it's whatever. You know, again, like I said, if you don't like something that you do, you shouldn't continue doing it. It's more of you don't have to force yourself by doing it. It's more of like you are doing it because you want it to look good. And yeah, so I ended up just not using it at all. I still have the file, but I'm probably not gonna go back and do it because it took me so much time already. I'm kind of burned out from this actual or this just drawing city itself. So not sure why I used the word Nortis for this specific shop that I'm doing, but you know, just a word came into your head, and just sometimes a word just came into your head. You're like, yeah, that sounds cool. That sounds interesting. So I'm just gonna put it in my painting. Maybe later we can develop like some kind of reference that word actually meant. But I'm sure right now I don't have anything in mind. Again, I'm just laying out foundation color for later. Some of the boring stuff for later. I'm gonna do one of the more fun stuff. I wouldn't have a lot of trouble doing it. As you can see here, I have a lot of hard time, or at least I keep erasing back and forth of what I do. You know, just because I'm still not sure some of the lighting gonna hit later on. I still haven't in that or have a actual visual of what it look like yet. So it's just a process of trial and error, just fixing it back and forth. You can see here, I fixed it even though the rim of the actual window itself to look a little lighter because I know the light is gonna come from that direction. Yeah, I want to make sure the window from the bottom match with the color of the window at the top, just to keep with that more repetition is going on. We want all the design of the building to have some kind of similarity. But at the same time, we want to have some kind of like we don't want to repeat too much. So we have by doing that, we're giving more design to it. Giving a more different pattern or something, or maybe a different window design, so it doesn't look boring, or it's not boring to look at, you know. Funny enough, or at least I really enjoy doing cityscape. Probably I just love doing perspectives in general, but I think what really made me have a love for cityscape is that I used to major in architecture, at least for just a little while ago. It didn't work out for me, of course, that's why I'm here doing illustration. But before, my family loved me to do architect and stuff like that, and I'm just like, okay, let's try to do architect. But then later on, I kind of realized that it wasn't a major for me, so I kind of changed it up. Probably just mainly because I'm not good with math. I hate math. Math is like one of my least favorite subject. It's not I'm bad at it. I feel like if I spend enough time in anything, I can be good at it. But it's more of a problem of like I'm not enjoying doing it. Especially in math. I don't know, in my mind, I'd rather have something that I can actually visually look at rather than something that I mentally have to solve. I'm a visual learner and just it works for me that way. I don't know. Don't get me wrong, math is like everything in the world. Because if you are majoring in math, I'm so sorry, but it's everywhere. Like I said, I hate it. I don't enjoy it as much as other people. Yeah. So that's why, some of the silly things I do, I quite enjoy doing it. Here I'm just trying to lay out some of the color for the actual vegetables that we have in this specific shop that I decided to go notice. Yeah, just to show that each shop have a different kind of like trading goods. But yeah, for this specific shop, we want to focus more of farming and agriculture. You know, for the shop next door. Later on, I will show some kind of tailor that actually working in the shop. But yeah, for now, it's just gonna be a little bit empty, and it's gonna look like that. And you know, we just wanna have every other shop along the line of the city street, just show how busy it is, or showing that there is a variety of shops throughout the city market itself. Right here, I'm almost done with laying out some of the foundation color, I would say, and continue working on some of the color. Oh, make sure that when you're doing something like along the line of perspective, or at least when something have perspective of going further and further, you want to have the lighting to be different, right? So let's say that you are in the up close manners of where you are, then everything will look a little more darker, a little more of a darker frame, and then later when you go farther, everything's gonna look a little lighter. Here you can see what I'm trying to say earlier when I'm working on the lighting itself. I want to show the lighting actually coming from the side of the building rather than the front of the building, because that would make no sense actually. Right here, I'm just continuing to putting shadows and lighting and how it actually contrasts each other and how it interacts with each other throughout the painting. I'm actually really close of finishing this painting itself, but right now it's me trying to figure out some of the shadow and some of the light, where it's gonna hit, how it's gonna interact with certain object throughout the alley itself. And you can see that some of the actual beam of light go through the street, and some of the shadow are more of a reflection. Yeah, when you work with stuff like this, you want to just have your picture from afar, just to make sure that yes, it looks visually okay. Because in the end, you want your painting to look really awesome. And moving on to the character right now. Here we can definitely see that something I said earlier, that their outfit are something that represent this era, right? It's not something outfit. I'm not a very good concept designer, but I can definitely map out some of these characters and how I want them to look throughout the series. Like I said earlier, we want to establish there is the adventure, there is these merchants that go out actually hunting or actually finding monsters, something like that, to make a living. So we want to have a differentiate of the character that living in the city and character that is going out adventure. And I think that's what's gonna be great about our little character, is that he wants to be starring someone else, but at the same time he is almost being forced to living in the city where he don't like, and he want to go adventure out, right? For the character, I just do some basic colors for them. I don't want them to overtaking the actual illustration itself, because the illustration itself is mainly just focused more on the actual cityscape itself, right? The character is more of like a side, more of a side detail for us to figure out where and when and how these characters interact with each other. So I decided to have them in the shadow and interact with the shadow and stuff like that too. Yeah, making sure every single character of them have some kind of shadow. And yeah, I think this is almost the end of the video where I'm actually gonna showcase you guys. And yeah, see you guys next time. Bye bye.